Alright guys, hello, welcome to the channel. This is going to be my intro to my new bike. But I wanted to kind of do a quick walk around, do a quick showcase of the bike as it is now before I start modding it, because I've already started to do a few little things. Nothing that will take away from the stock bike at all, but I'm going to go and start to mod it out a little bit. Just small things at first, but eventually it'll probably get crazy. This is a 2006 Yamaha MT-01. It only came to Europe and Canada, well, probably a few other places, but it never officially came to the States. I'm pretty sure there's probably a couple that were imported there. But this bike is fairly unique. It kind of failed when it was launched. It was around from 2005 all the way up till 2010, I believe. And we haven't seen anything else kind of like it. It is a 1675cc V-twin motor. I think it was a Bandit? No, Warrior. Yamaha Warrior also had the same motor, same engine, I should say engine, because motor, it doesn't matter. Anyway, few people will understand. I bought it at around 9,500 kilometers, and I think I am just at, what am I at here? I'm at 12,900. So that's I've put on quite a few kilometers since I bought it about a month ago. And I'm going to do a quick breakdown on what I do like and what I don't like about this bike. First we'll do the reason why I bought this bike. I was actually looking for a newer bike, but I couldn't justify spending the new bike price right now. It's not going to work out for me. Holy crap, this light's long. Holy crap. Starting to cook here. Really? Don't open my visor, please. And any minute now. I guess I got here right as the light ended. Oh, finally. The reason I bought this motorcycle is because I was looking actually for a newer bike, and I was looking at FZ09s, FZ07s. I really wanted the 09. At the time I just couldn't justify, well, I can't justify buying a brand new bike. I can't afford it. So I started looking at used bikes, and I can't remember how this came across, but I remember when it first came out, I sat on one, and I always thought it was kind of cool. It's a little bit of a different sort of bike. Basically, it's like R1 everything besides frame, but like front forks are R1, front brakes are R1. It's got a 190 50 17 rear tire like an R1, chain driven, but it has the engine from a like cruiser, basically a V-twin. It's air cooled, sort of a cruiser engine. I don't know if you want to call it that, but typically V-twins like this are in cruisers, so it's a little bit different. Plus, I've never owned a V-twin. I've always owned the straight fours, so I thought I'd try something a little bit different. And I remember I really liked these, so I started looking. I couldn't find any for kind of what I wanted to pay. I found this one for $5,000, and it was out in Hinton, and I'm from Calgary, if you don't know. But this one was the cheapest. The next cheapest one was like $5,800. It was in Edmonton, so closer, but it had already been down in an accident, had more kilometers, and the guy had Street Fightered it sort of a little bit. It looked actually pretty good. It was probably fine, but it was more money than this one, and this one looked like it was pretty much new condition. And when I picked it up, it pretty much was. The guy had only put $250, and he was the second owner. Both him and the first owner meticulously took care of it, taking it to the dealerships, whatever, Yamaha, or actually maybe the second guy didn't. Anyway, it was a certified shop though, so its entire life. It still had the stickers for the tire pressure, which I have now taken off. That was my first mod I was kind of hinting at, but nothing that will make anyone ooh and ah. It just makes it look cleaner. So other specs on this bike, I believe it is 100 horsepower, I think. Now I'm gonna get mistaken. I'm gonna be mistaken, because I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be, I think it was 10 more than my YZF 600R was. My 600R was 90, So I'm going to say this one is around 100 horsepower. If I'm wrong, I will quickly put that in the description down below, or not in the description. I will, if I'm wrong, I will put that, the proper number, just you'll see it down below here somewhere on the screen, whatever. You guys still on my head? And it has 150 Newton meters of torque, which is 110 foot-pounds of torque. So it's a pretty torquey beast. It is amazing for around town. It doesn't have the top speed of some of the V4s or the straight four kind of engines. What is this guy doing? Oh, signaling. Okay. Suppose I'll allow it since. Oh my goodness! Please. Basically, this bike was the right price, the right time, the right kilometers, and it was something I kind of have always wanted, but I kind of forgot about the last few years. This bike came in multiple, I guess, performance upgrade mods you could do for it. It came like this, which is basically the very bare bones stock. It came with stage 1, which I want to say, I can't remember exactly what they all were. It came on stage 1, 2, and 3, basically ranging from exhaust all the way down to exhaust, a tune, different intakes, a few other different things. I don't even know. Just look it up. If you want to look it up, just look up Yamaha MT-01 stage 1, 2, and 3. Doesn't matter. Everyone talks about them. But this bike was also just different and a little bit rare because it was never sold in the States and it didn't do well when it launched. So no one really ever thinks about this bike. So I don't think I've ever actually seen another one on the road. This is the first one I've seen on the road, and I'm driving it. So, but I feel like it's a little bit rare, and it's kind of cool. These engines are pretty much bulletproof. They're really reliable. I mean, it's a Yamaha, so what can you expect? What do you expect? I think they're rated pretty close to the top for reliability. Except for I keep missing second apparently. And so that's basically it. That's my reasoning on why I bought this. So things I like about it. I like the amount of torque it has. I like the USDM or inverted forks. This is the first bike I've had with those. I've always bought a little bit older bikes, so it sounds pretty good, although I'm hoping when I put pipes on it, it doesn't make it sound more like a Harley, although I'm scared it probably will. Right now it kind of sounds like a Ducati Monster, which I am okay with. I like the way it looks. It looks like a muscly bike. And I guess, I can't remember what Yamaha classified it as, but it wasn't a muscle bike, but everyone else pretty much calls this a muscle bike. And the VMAX is a muscle bike. I'm sure I can't even pronounce the Ducati Daviel. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Anyway, that's like a muscle bike. Just a bike with a lot of torque. I like how comfortable it is. It's probably one of the most comfortable bikes I've ever ridden on. Well, besides like maybe the most comfortable bike I've ever owned. My dad's Cruiser is pretty dang comfortable. His Honda Shadow, but definitely the most comfortable bike I've ever owned. I've ridden quite a few kilometers, and I do get uncomfortable after a while, but for the first couple hours I'm fine. I like this chain drive. I like chains because they're easy to modify. Swing arm length, not that I'm planning on doing that, but if you're ever doing a conversion, most bikes are chain, so it's just easier. I like the brakes, they're pretty good. I like the adjustability of the suspension. I love the looks, like I already kind of said. I love the size. I like that it's a 1675cc, biggest bike I've owned. It doesn't feel like it's crazy, but I feel like that's because you just feel confident riding this bike. It's not like my YZF 600R, I guess, or Snowcat, or no, sorry, not Snowcat, or Thundercat, what it's called. The YZF 600R or Thundercat, where you're going 0 to 9,000 RPM and all of a sudden you hit 9 and it jumps a whole bunch of power, and from 9 to 11 it's different. So depending on how you're driving it through the corners, if you don't know what you're doing or you're just not expecting, you're not thinking, it changes quite often. Where this, it feels the same amount of torque throughout the power band, which is in part thanks to the system, which I cannot think what it's called right now, but it's in the exhaust, and it's basically a butterfly valve, like a throttle plate almost, that opens and closes opens and closes throughout the rev range to balance the torque out in places where it may be lacking in torque, or, you know, I don't know. Things I don't like about this bike. Right off the bat, it's hard to find parts. Again, because it was never brought to the States and I live in Canada. Anything that came to the States, we get parts for, because there's American manufacturers everywhere that manufacture parts for various whatever. But because it wasn't ever brought there, they never really got it, never became that popular, and so my best source is actually a lot of Europe, England and stuff like that. There's a couple guys that have done superchargers and turbochargers on these, and got tons of power. I want to say 260 foot-pounds of torque and around 130 or something horsepower, 160 horsepower. Man, these lights are so long. There's like no cars there. I hate these lights. There we go. Run the yellow. So other things I like about it, or don't like about it. I'm not a fan of these mirrors, although that kind of goes without saying for any almost stock bike. I can't remember, I think the newest Yamaha bikes have different signal lights. But from, I don't even know what years, like 94 or maybe even 92 to like 2000, well at least 6 and probably a little bit more than that, they've had these wonky, huge, crazy looking dongles which get the job done, but they do not look good. They make every bike look, I don't know, it dates them really badly. I don't like how low the RPM is, although I think you just have to kind of get used to that because of what the bike is. It is a big V-twin with a long stroke and a, yeah, just a long stroke. Anything else I don't like about it? I don't like the tail of this bike, which I'll cut to the picture. The back end looks too bulky. The exhaust kind of angle outward on both sides, make the rear end look really wide over top of the rear tire, which makes the 190, which is a fairly large rear tire, like it's sport bike range tire, look small. Other than that, I can't think of anything I don't really like. So those are the things I'm probably going to change. First, I would also like to get a power commander and probably better intake, and eventually maybe go crazy and get like, not gonna be for a while. I just bought this. I'm having fun with it for now, and I don't really have the money to buy it. So that'll be it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like this video, and I guess we'll see you, I want to say tomorrow, but we'll see you in the next video.